which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? T, you can't tell. You know why? Tar in a bottle.
It is an understatement to say that the internet has changed the cosmetic industry in so many ways. From the way that products are advertised, to what becomes popular, to what gets made at all. But one thing that has not changed is the customer's desire to go into a store and purchase something that works for them. To look at something and say, yes, that's something for me, to purchase it, take it home, and go, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Whether we're buying a product because we think it's going to work for our particular skin type or our skin tone or just our personal style, we want to purchase things and feel like we have spent our money wisely, that we haven't been deceived into buying something that is not right for us through deceptive marketing. One of the most emotionally charged and complex issues in the cosmetic space surrounds the shade range of complexion products. In the judgmental society that we live in, the tone and depth of tone of people's skin has a social and emotional impact, and it has since the beginning of recorded history. Today, this carries over into cosmetic products and the shade ranges or lack thereof of what people are trying to find in the store. It triggers that emotional and social response that has been building up and continues to build in people's lives. And that leads us to today's topic. We are diving deep into the situation that blew up this week over the Youthforia Date Night Foundation and the repeated problems that they are having, what went wrong and what went wrong again. And more importantly, how the choices that cosmetic companies are making regarding complexion products is truly more than skin deep. Hang tight. We're about to get into it right now. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have been here before, if you are new, hi, my name is Jen. You have stumbled across a channel called JENLUV, and on this channel, we talk makeup news. We talk things that are happening in the industry and how it affects us as consumers. So I want to preface this by saying that I am presenting this in a news report format for the most part. I want to share the chronology of the story and the people who spoke up on it, the people who were involved in talking about why what Youthforia has done is such a big problem. This is not a video about guilt or fragility or trying to make anyone feel bad. It's not about that. It's about representing what really happened in a situation so that we can all have a better perspective on what's going on in the cosmetic industry and how it affects people. Before we dive into this, I do want to let you know that this video is very kindly sponsored by Nira. Their at-home non-fractional laser technology has truly been a game changer for me. I have been using both of their Precision and their Pro devices for a very long time. I got the Precision over a year ago and I got the Pro right after it launched, and I have been loving both devices. So if you are interested in learning how Nira can help you to reduce your existing fine lines and wrinkles, I will put my discount code here. And of course, the link down below will lead you right to their website where you can learn more. Sponsorships from companies like Nira help me to continue to produce content like this for you on a full-time basis so I can dig as deep as I did into videos like this. So thank you so much to Nira for sponsoring this video. I appreciate you so much. And with that being said, let's talk about Golloria George. She's the person that was at the very beginning of this video, that small clip. I'm going to play the whole clip for you in just a minute. But before we do that, I think it's really important to understand who Golloria is as a content creator. Golloria produces vertical short form content across platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. She has a collective following of about 2 million followers. 1.4 million of those are on TikTok alone. She posted her first TikTok video back in October of 2020, and that very first video was about colorism that she had experienced. So this theme has been a part of her platform since the very beginning. She didn't start with foundation reviews at first, though. It was more general makeup reviews and talking about what worked for her and what didn't work for her. The first review of a foundation that I could find was in 2022 because she had gotten a package from Bosma Beauty, and all it seemed to be in the package was this one foundation. foundation. This was her video on that foundation.
I got a package. I typically stick to my Fenty foundations because I know they're my shade and I know they look really good on me, but Basma Beauty sent me their stick foundation in the darkest shade 001. It's a lightweight formula and you can use it for multiple things, not just foundation. First of all, the packaging is literally everything. Like, we love a good pink. So immediately right out the packaging, I know this is not gonna be my shade. It has too many red undertones. And this is the darkest shade, so let's just go ahead and try it. Immediately no. I couldn't even blend this if I wanted to. It's just too red and too light. But maybe I could use it as a concealer. Let's try that. You already know I had to bring out the Fenty. That's a shade match. Yes. Okay, round 2. It did brighten me up. I don't hate it. 5 out of 10. I think they need more darker shades.
Basma Beauty actually responded to this review and they said, contacting our lab ASAP. Since then, Gloria has been trying a lot of foundations and some of them are hits and some of them are misses. Some of them, like the Rare Beauty foundation, were almost hits, but not quite.
This is the darkest shade of the Rare Beauty foundation. That is a bit light.
Quite a few of them matched her very, very well and she was very happy. Here's a little montage.
This is true inclusivity. Yeah. Ooh la la. This is the darkest shade of the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. Another banger. Okay, CoverGirl. Okay, CoverGirl. Don't play. It's giving skin. This is the darkest shade. Yeah. You guys, this is Urban Decay's brand new face bond.
Because Gloria's video was the one that really set this off this past week, I want you to understand the kind of content creator that Gloria is. She's not sensational. She's fair. When she likes something, she raves about it. And when she doesn't like something, she makes faces and she looks annoyed and she sometimes inserts sound effects. But she's never rude. She's never crass. She's never hateful. She just gives good, solid reviews for people that will benefit from them. Last fall, Gloria reviewed the deepest shade of the Youthforia foundation. Of the 15 shades, she thought that the deepest shade would work for her, but when she got it, it didn't work at all.
This is the darkest shade. It's the alleged shade here in the room with us. This keeps happening because tone inclusivity is not something these beauty companies are worried about. They do not care. The next foundation we're trying is the Youthforia Date Night Foundation that is literally going viral on TikTok, and apparently you can sleep in it. Let's see if it's tone inclusive. I'm using the darkest shade of $4.95, and this is what this product looks like online. But somehow these are the same color, right? One pump. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia Date Night Foundation. I feel like I've been lied to so bad. This is what this shade looks like online, and this is what this shade looks like on the model. As we can see here, somebody is lying. There is no way these are the same 2 shades. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Do we see each other? Rubbish. In 2023, for you to be lying about your shades online and this to be your darkest shade, you know, maybe we should take a step back. Let's really, as a whole, as a company, as a beauty industry in itself, sit down and be like, hey, I have some questions. Like, yeah, you could sleep in this foundation, Pookie, but it's not tone inclusive. For this to be your darkest shade in 2023?
Youthforia's founder, Fiona Ko-Chan, issued then 2 apologies. And you know when there is a second apology, that probably means that the first apology didn't go so well, or there ended up being new things to apologize for, and I think both were true in this situation. This was Fiona's first apology.
Announced that we were going to extend our shades of foundation on the day that I launched our foundation. In a Allure article dated back in September, I told them at our launch event that I planned on extending the shades soon. After launching my fair share of fluff, it's always my intention to launch this as a proof of concept, see if people even liked the base formula. Out if the entire project is such a flop that we have to start over and everything that we've ordered just goes into landfill, or we can kind of extend and expand. So working on shades and shade development, I've actually been working on some of this before we launched the foundation. But I always wanted to make sure that I left some room where I can actually take direct feedback. I love it when you guys send me feedback, especially videos, visuals. It's just super helpful for me. All of that ends up going into a really big document. Then it goes back to the lab. Then we do a lot of in-person shade development to make any other adjustments. So additional shades are coming. There's something that I've been actively working on before we launched our foundation. Shade development does take time. Sometimes there's some nuances with time of the year that we are developing shades. So for example, summer shades look different than winter shades, especially if you're someone who changes undertones as you get a little bit more tan. These are all kind of things that we're working through.
I think what really upset people about Fiona's apology was the whole thing about proof of concept and how those 15 shades were there kind of as a test market to see if they would expand the shade range. Now, Jackie Aina, who has been involved in this conversation about complexion products for many, many years, she weighed in on this and explained it super well, so I'm just going to play what she had to say about it.
It's always my intention to launch this as a proof of concept, see if people even like.
I'm a brand founder myself, and I understand why this woman gave this response, but here's why I'm going to tell you it's also bullshit, because it just is. Because it just is. Like, you honestly don't think Black people have not heard this same response for how many years? Probably since the dawn of beauty's existence. Well, in a mass scale, like the way that it exists now. And the reason why this excuse is BS is because you're basically saying anybody that is lighter than a tan is going to be the case study for this product, okay? They're going to test it first. They're going to see if they like it. They're going to see if they approve. It's a proof of concept, as she phrased it. And this is not the first of its kind. This is the reason why, when I first started my YouTube channel, I really prioritized this specifically in the beauty industry, why that specifically needed to change. Because what you're inadvertently saying is that anybody that isn't dark skin is the default. And if they like it first, then the rest of y'all will get it, okay? The rest of y'all will get it. After they see if they like it first, the rest of y'all will get the crumbs, the leftovers. You're basically saying that everybody else is an afterthought. That is what you're saying. And what I think a lot of brands really refuse to do, especially because let's even use the worst case scenario. You're a small business, right? You cannot just launch a product for everybody. I get it. Products cost money. Development costs money. Everything costs money, especially when you own a brand. But here's what you do. You don't. Like, keep that shit in the back stock. We don't want it. I don't want it unless you're either willing to do two things. One, make it available to everyone. And if you can't, as a small business, it is okay, and that's understandable. What you need to do, and I looked at your website, you aren't doing this, by the way. What you need to do instead, if you can't launch this product for everybody, is make sure there's an even ratio of light shades, an even ratio of medium shades, an even ratio of dark, and a medium ratio of deep dark. That means if the most you can do is your tan, baby, you better divvy up that 10 from lightest to darkest. I don't want to see 10 variations of the same fair shade with multiple different undertones, and then here y'all always begging for something all the way at the end of the spectrum. 2 shades that are flexible, because that's not what y'all say, but the gag is y'all give them like last 4 shades the flex, like, here, make it work, but why don't fair skin, I don't even like the word fair, let's start there. Why don't light people have to make it work? Why not? If you don't have the money to really fully launch this the way that it deserves to be launched, don't do it. No one's asking.
This seemed to hit Fiona pretty hard, so she issued a second apology.
I just want to come on and say that I'm extremely sorry. When I first started Youthforia 2 years ago, all I wanted to do was create a space where individual beauty could be celebrated. And unfortunately, with our latest launch, we just fell short of that mission. I know I could say we're just a tiny brand, and that just doesn't excuse the fact that some of you guys do not feel seen or included, and that is unacceptable. I'm extremely sorry that we did not do a great job by you guys with this launch and with this product, but I'm trying to learn to be better. I've already set up time with community leaders and experts on the best way that we can improve. But for now, just know that we already have additional shades in development, and that all the photographs on our website reflect the shades that we actually sell. We would never alter the tones of our photos before posting that online. There'll be more coming from us shortly. We'll keep you guys posted. And if you guys would like to be part of the change, we're always looking for community feedback.
Fiona then went back to the drawing board and she decided she wanted to extend the shade range. I reported on this in What's Up in Makeup, which is my makeup news show, back in March. And at that time, I had found an article in a web publication called Beauty Independent. In that article, it was said that rather than release the next 10 shades in 24 months, the brand and factory reduced the timeline to 4 months. That is huge. So keep that in mind as I continue this story, that she cut the production time down on these 10 new shades from 24 months to 4 months. When contacted by Beauty Independent about the shade extension, Fiona said at the time, there's limitations in terms of the number of shades I can do, but there's things I can control. The distribution of the shade family, that's something, and putting feedback into action as quickly as possible, but doing it thoughtfully. She continued, for certain product lines, it's okay to launch with a limited assortment, things like blush or a lip color. I think for other product lines like complexion, my advice to my younger self 6 months ago would be to wait until you actually have more resources and you're a little bit bigger. So like I said, the shade extension launched in March. So in real time, it is the beginning of May of 2024. So it's been a little while and there really hasn't been a lot of buzz about what's happening with this foundation and whether the launch of the extended shade range was a success or not. What set it off this week, where people are now talking about it, is Golloria going back in and trying the new deepest shade of foundation. I will tell you, I have had this YouTube channel for 12 years. I have been doing my makeup news show for 8 years, and I have never seen a company try to match a complexion product like this before, where it is meant for a natural skin tone. Here is Golloria's full clip of her review.
Which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? T, you can't tell. You know why? Tar in a bottle. This is jet black face paint, and this is the darkest shade of the Youthforia Date Night foundation. This is black face paint. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. A few months ago, I tried the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. This is what it looked like on me. I'm gonna apply some of the foundation on this side of my face so you guys can see. Let's just go ahead and try to blend this out, you guys. Enough. Who is that color? I'm gonna wipe this off and let me put the paint all over my face. I'm literally just going in with the face paint. We're gonna do some painting, and let me just go ahead and blend it out with the brush. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. This is black face paint. Sometimes it's okay to say, hey, maybe my brand is not made for complexion. I'm gonna squeeze a pump of this on my forehead just right out the bottle so you guys can see that I'm literally not joking. We're gonna do a big blend of this, you guys. When we say that we want you guys to make shades for us, we don't mean to go to the lab and ask for minstrel show black. What we mean is to take the browns that you have made, create undertones, and do what you need to do in the lab so it's a darker shade of brown. This is the darkest shade 600, and as you guys can see in the bottle, literally jet black. The shade right next to it, shade 590. This is what it looks like in the bottle. Here is shade 600. You guys, there could be like 10 more shades in between these two shades. In addition to that, when we go to the actual website and we look at the swatch, not only is the swatch online literally jet black, there's literally only 4 or 5 shades for people that actually have dark complexions. Not really for black people, for being honest. Not only in 2024 is this so disgusting and disrespectful, but this needs to be pulled off the shelves.
Cosmetic chemist Javon Ford jumped on just a few hours later to respond and back up Golloria. Here's what he said.
Which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? T, you can't tell.
I wanted y'all to see something first before folks start gaslighting her and other black creators in the comments. So this is one of Youthforia's lightest foundations. If you look here at the bottom of the ingredient list, you'll notice 3 different colors. Stay with me now. The CI stands for color index, and it basically represents titanium white, red, and yellow iron oxides. Pretty much the only colors you need to make a lighter shade of foundation. But then if we look at their darkest shade, the ingredient list tells a different story. Here there's only one pigment, CI77499, which is just black iron oxide. No other colorants. This foundation literally only has pure black pigment. Here's a close-up if you missed it the first time. And before folks say, oh, maybe it's meant as a mixing pigment, that makes no sense. Anyone who's ever taken an art class will tell you that black is a terrible pigment to mix with, because it just makes things gray and muddy. And skin tones typically have some combination of eumelanin and pheomelanin. The pheomelanin is where we get the red and yellow undertones. And this problem is so avoidable. She literally could have used NARS or Fenty foundation shades as a benchmark. This brand does not care about us.
And of course, I looked for myself just to put my own eyes on it. I trust Javon, but it's nice to, just verify. Of course he's right. Of course he's right. Black iron oxide is the only pigment in this foundation. I use the website that I always use for stuff like this. It's called Special Chem. It is a product data, knowledge, and assistance platform that cosmetic companies use in order to pick ingredients for their products. And also, like Javon said, Youthforia could have used other products as a baseline to decide how to formulate this deepest shade. So like, for example, the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation that Gloria loves also used black iron oxide, but they also used a combination of yellow iron oxide and red iron oxide in order to develop their shade. Here are the two shades next to each other on the screen, the NARS and the Youthforia. Remember, this is NARS's deepest shade, and you can see that it is a very, very deep, rich brown, where the Youthforia one is just black. As individuals, it's important to question what we see. It's important to think critically about what we see. And there's been some criticism of Gloria's video and this topic in general. The one that I see repeated over and over again is that even though this doesn't match Gloria, there are people that are this shade. And they're mentioning specific people that they think that this shade would work for. And one of them is a creator named Nadali. This one comment next to Gloria's video says, Nadali is dark though, it matched her beautifully. So what I did was I actually went over to the Youthforia page. They have Nadali's, appears to be a sponsored review of the products. And I'm just gonna play it for you. Because no, shade 600, which is that black shade, does not match Nadali.
Hey, it's Nadali, and today I'm excited to show you guys this new Youthforia Date Night Foundation. First, I'll swatch the two darkest shades, 600 and 590, to find my perfect foundation match. I'm applying now the 600 foundation. The foundation is just too dark. Up, I'm going to apply the 590 foundation. Love that it's just so flawless. It perfectly matches my skin. It matches. This foundation is a game changer. As you can see, it's radiant, it's medium coverage, it's lightweight. And if you want to get this foundation, you can find it at Youthforia, or you can buy it at your local Ulta Beauty store to get your hands on it. You better hurry up and go get it. Let me know if you'll be trying this foundation.
It's important to recognize that Youthforia did make a shade that matched her. It was just 590. Not 600. I found two other videos that I want to share with you that back up this point. The first one is a South Sudanese creator, and I really don't want to butcher her name. I tried so hard to try to pronounce it, and I know I'm going to get it wrong, so I will just put it on the screen for you. I'll play her video for you now.
This should be a crime. This is what we get when we ask to be included in the beauty industry. Because there's no way in 2024 we are getting this. They just slap it in our face saying, if you want a darkest shade, there you go. Here's the black paint for your face. This is truly a crime. We as South Sudanese, we are one of the darkest people on this planet. And if you cannot find anyone among us to match this shade, just know this is not a foundation, neither a skin tint. And this is just a big shame. I am so glad that I declined 4 months ago when they reached out to me asking if I can collaborate with them. This, it's one thing to make a mistake once, but once you make it twice, it's just a slap in the face. Have we not learned anything?
The second video is a creator named Seema R. She is the host of a podcast called Art Lust Podcast.
This is why observation is really useful. Nayakim Gatwek is a South Sudanese model who has insanely good skin. I mean, all these models I'm going to do. But I would ask you to look at her skin color next to the black on the phone you're looking at. They are not the same color. True black has no highlights. Her skin definitely has undertone. And of course, dark skin has many gradations. Another model, Kudia Diop, her skin is really just a totally different base color than hers. Beauty of my youth, Alec Weck, totally different base tone. It seems like Alec Weck is a summer, a fall, and a Winter. I'm saying this without actually seeing them in real life. But they certainly all have dark skin, none of which are as black as your phone. It just takes some familiarity with a variety of people, because with variety, you see more and more skin tones.
Similar to the fact that there are no human beings on this planet that are the color of this paper towel. There's no human being on the planet that is the same color as this coffee cup. There are no human beings on this planet that are just black. Every single person has an undertone. Let me show you what I mean. Let's look at some light shades first, starting with NARS. So this is the lightest shade with a warm undertone. This is the lightest shade with a cool undertone. And this is the lightest shade with a neutral undertone. Now let's go ahead and pop up Youthforia's lightest two shades. To me, they seem very similar to the lightest warm shade and the lightest cool tone shade of the NARS foundation. You notice that none of them are white. They all have an undertone. Just like when you're formulating for the very lightest shades, the very deepest shades also need an undertone. That's the issue here, is that this deepest shade, there is no undertone. Creator Lola Abeni responded on Instagram in a comment saying, exactly, weaponized incompetence, even the darkest complexions have nuance, which should be captured in undertones. People commenting like you're not the darkest woman they've ever seen, like that's the point you've ever tried to make, is pissing me off. Because that's what a lot of people are doing. They're looking at Golloria and they're saying there are people deeper than you that this could work for. And what everyone is trying to say is that no, because even the deepest skin tones have an undertone and this foundation does not. It is literally a lighter coverage black face paint. Another comment that I'm seeing a lot is, well, they tried and no one can win with you. And what I showed earlier with Gloria's other videos that she's made over the years, there are a lot of brands that win with Golloria. So that is just outright not true. There are plenty of foundation companies that Golloria reviews fairly and really likes their products. All Youthforia had to do was pick one of those and then go with it as a baseline. But they didn't do that. And I think I know why. It's in the next section. The next question I have is, how did this happen? How did it really happen? Of course, we don't know. I reached out to Youthforia as soon as I found out about this, and I haven't heard anything back. I had a conversation with them back and forth on Instagram before, so my message shouldn't be in the folder where people that you haven't approved can't get through. It should be in their inbox, but they have not yet responded. So because of that, there's no way for me to know what the real story is. But I think I might have figured it out just by putting some pieces together. Let's start with Gloria's second video that she made on the black foundation. In this video, Golloria uses the 590 shade. It's the same shade that matched Nadali.
This is the second to darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation in shade 590. Let's try it. We're gonna go in with a pretty good pump. Clean brush, let's go blend this out. Coming in close so you guys can virtually see. As you guys can see, this foundation leans very red on me. In the summertime, not only would this not work, also this is typically not a foundation shade I would wear. This side of my face, I'm gonna go into the foundation that I typically always reach for, which is the About Face Beauty foundation, and it doesn't have a pump, so I'm gonna go in with a lot of it. Clean brush, and let's go ahead and blend this out. This is the About Face Beauty foundation that I would say is my true match. And this is 590 from Youthforia. I'm a little bit cooler than 590, guys. Which means Youthforia does not even make my shade. This is About Face. That's how a shade match should be. But this leans a bit red on me. This is shade 590. This is shade 600. How on earth did we go from this shade to this shade? There's no undertone, no depth, no dimension. And that's a problem. It goes far beyond it just being damn near black. I feel like we could have sat down with 590 a little bit longer, tweaked some undertones, added some more depth, added some more range, added a few more shades, and it would have aced. All that being said, obviously there are darker people than me. That was never something that I argued. However, I know that when it comes to the end of the spectrum of tone and color and complexion, I am of one of the darkest. I'm comparing the shade to black face paint because the shade literally lacks color at all because it's flat. It would not complement any skin tone, let alone the one that they're marketing it for. As you can see in these pictures, these don't even match the model that they're putting it on. Prior to that, the swatch page with all the models literally just had a blank swatch of shade 600 and all of the other shades had models. So was this shade even tested on dark skin or did you just lazily put it out there? When I thought it couldn't get worse, the model that she actually decided to put on there, she street casted in Dubai, swatched both of the foundations on this model, and of course the shades didn't match because 590 was too warm and 600 was literally black. And then she went to go get pictures from a Passport Center photo booth and used that picture as a swatch reference. So,
yes, my friend, that is what happened. That's what happened. This video that I'm about to play for you was posted on February 29th, not long before the launch of the extended shade range.
I'm super stressed because I need to find a model for our darkest shade of Youthforia foundation. We reached out to modeling agencies in Miami, New York, and LA, and it was really hard to find models for our 4 darkest shades. So a month ago, we held a casting call to just look for real people, real skin. We found matches for most of our shades, except for our darkest shade. For reference, this is Youthforia's darkest shade versus Fenty's darkest shade. So now I'm on the other side of the world, and I'm street casting, which means I'm going up to people and asking them if they ever thought about modeling. I'm such an introvert, so of course I dragged my husband along, and we are literally going to malls and cafes and asking people, have you ever thought about modeling? I'm a little bit nervous because we only have a few days to launch this, and we've already been ghosted a few times. It is launch week, so I'm super stressed. I hope we can find a model in the next couple days.
To me, it seems like Fiona didn't consider that there may not be any human beings on the planet that matched this black shade. I think she genuinely thought that she just hadn't found them yet. I personally think she wanted to create something revolutionary. You can see in that video, she's comparing her deepest shade to Fenty's deepest shade, kind of like saying, I did something here. I made something even deeper for even more people than even Fenty. Look at me. I genuinely believe that Fiona thought that if she created this shade, she would get all of the accolades, all of the flowers, that people would be praising Youthforia for finally coming out with a shade that was deep enough for people with the deepest skin tones. What Fiona didn't realize was that there's a reason why Fenty and NARS and Makeup Forever and MAC and all of these different companies don't make that shade. She was about to find out at the mall. Here's the clip that was in Gloria's video. Now, this is shot very poorly. It's very, very choppy and hard to listen to. So what I would recommend if you're having trouble understanding it, I've purposely put in the one with captions so that you can read what they're saying, because it's honestly, it's hard for me to listen to and understand. So read the captions if you're struggling with it.
A few days ago, I told you guys how stressed I was. I'm looking for a model for the darkest shade of Youthforia foundation days before launch. I don't have enough time to do a full photo shoot. I'm on the other side of the world, street casting and getting ghosted. I met Alvin and Jack graciously agreed to be our model. We don't have a ton of time. I went to a mall and decided to do a photo shoot at the mall. Here I am trying to be the videographer, but also the makeup artist on set. It was honestly so chaotic, but I found a camera store that agreed to email us a photo. It's just gonna have to. Here's the 2 darkest shade of Youthforia foundation. 100 is a cool neutral, and Alvin has great skin. I am applying it while holding the camera. It actually blends so easily into his skin. And in all of our website photos, we always just do half a face of no makeup, half a face of Youthforia foundation. You can see the before and after, but he has great skin. This undertone was actually perfect. And then Jackson actually was so sweet. The entire time we were just talking about my journey trying to grow Youthforia. He was like, I hope your dreams come true. Same thing here, left side no makeup and right side with foundation. Then we were ready to pop into this Passport photo booth and get some photos taken. I was a little bit skeptical about whether or not this would work. Would it match the style of photos that we normally do? But wait, these photos turned out so well. Now our shade grid is finally complete. I'm so excited to launch these 10 new shades.
Now, I have some personal conspiracy theories about this video. This is where we're veering off of the news segment of this and kind of going into Jen's editorial viewpoint, because I have no proof that any of this happened like the way that I'm saying it. This is what I'm seeing based on connecting dots, and of course that can be wrong. And I will tell you, I am biased, and I am looking at this video trying to figure out how Youthforia manipulated this video to make it look like one thing when it was actually another thing, because I do feel like this was a manipulated video. Allow me to explain. Let's slow this down and let's reintroduce ourselves to Alvin and Jackson, the people that Youthforia hired as models for this deepest shade. Looking at all 4 faces, Jackson, Alvin, Gloria, and Nadali on the screen, because Alvin was slightly deeper than Jackson, that's why they sat him down first. This is, I have no evidence of this, but this is what I think happened. And Alvin does appear first in the video. Just like Gloria said, when you see the swatches on Alvin's forehead, you see 590 is too light, definitely, and 600 is too deep. He would probably be somewhere in between there, but he is neither of those shades. The next flashes are very fast. Here it is in real time. Now let's go ahead and slow that down a little bit so we can see what's happening here. It looks like he has 600 on in the first shot, then blending in 590, then back to pumping shade 600, then back to 590 again. When they cut to using 600 in the next shot, you can clearly see that it's too dark for Alvin's skin tone. As she's blending, the camera angle goes down and gives more light to the face, but you can still see that it's too dark. Note that she's also using a beauty sponge, which will give the lightest coverage possible. I'm assuming here she's hoping that Alvin's skin tone is going to shine through this black foundation. For a brief second, the shot gets cooler, and it looks like Alvin, to me, it looks like he has a bruise on his cheek, but that's the foundation. Here is Alvin's finished look. We get great, beautiful lighting for the before photo, but the after photo is darker and warmer. When he turns his head, it does look like they put a bit of 600 on his face, but you notice that the apples of his cheeks and other high points of his face don't look like they have foundation on. The other thing is they never give a good shot of the left side of the screen in the after, so you can see the differences in the same lighting. So the question was this intentional? Of course, I have no proof that this was intentional. I wasn't able to talk to Youthforia and ask them, but it appears to be intentional to manipulate the video. Let's move on to Jackson's application, because I feel like they learned a lot from Alvin, and now they have to figure out what they're going to do with Jackson. They probably knew at this point that there's no way in hell 600 is going to work on Jackson. To me, it looks like in the video, he pumps out 600, but then they apply 590. Here's him swatching 600 on his hand. Again, it's clearly too dark. This is him rubbing it onto his head, but somehow it matches. It's totally different. Then cut to blending it on his hand, where again it doesn't match, and then to blending it on his forehead, where it magically matches. In the side-by-side comparison, you can see the shine on his face. He clearly has product on the right side of the screen here. But my conspiracy theory, what I think based on what I'm seeing with my eyes, my opinion is that he has on 590, not 600. To really bring this home, let's look again at Gloria, Nidali, Alvin, and Jackson. Gloria clearly has the lightest tone to her skin here. Remember, she found that 590 was similar to the depth that she needed, but it was the wrong undertone. For Nidali, she found that 590 was perfect for her. We know that 590 is her match. I don't believe either one of these men are wearing a full face of 600. I think they manipulated it. Because I think when Fiona was in the mall, looking for people, panicked, knowing she was going to find the perfect person to wear shade 600, and she put that foundation on Alvin and realized it didn't match him, that's when she knew she fucked up. That's when she knew she was way too deep in it to go back now. At this point in the video, I want to take a little bit of a break from me talking. I want to bring in one of my very best friends. Their name is Audra. All of their platforms are Audra Reins here on YouTube and also on Twitch and on Instagram. I wanted to talk to Audra specifically about this because they are very knowledgeable about the makeup space and complexion products, and they always help me think of things in new ways, whether it's about makeup or just about life in general. So here's my short interview with one of my very best friends, Audra. Audra Reins is here. Woo! So,
What's up?
Audra, we've been talking about this privately.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about this in the actual video because you're always giving me new ways to think about things. And I feel like you have a unique perspective on this particular topic. I know you've seen the video that Gloria put out.
Bruh.
And the Youthforia Foundation, you've seen it. What are your thoughts on what's happening there?
I mean, I'm kind of at a loss that we're just like still in this same cycle. Like it's 2024 and this it just never stops happening. I feel like every year that another brand does the same crap where they don't put out all of the shade, and every single time they have the same excuse. They go, "Oh, we wanted to make a brand that was inclusive for all." And then they don't do that. And then they're like, "We missed the mark," is their favorite thing. And then they, drop a few shades or whatever. I'm over it. I just want if brands are going to play this game, I just don't think we should keep taking the bait at this point. It's like, let it go. Cause I see Black beauty creators getting sucked into this over and over and over again. And, I've said it before, I'll keep saying it. I don't want to stop anybody from getting their bag. I want people to make their money, But I urge more Black creators to stop allowing themselves to be used for this rage bait, because that's how these companies make all this money. They show up and they don't do the right thing, then they pretend, in this case very much pretend, like they're going to do the right thing. um and it's like their names everywhere. There's tons of people who never even heard of Youthforia until now. This is national news. Like it is showing up in our actual news now. And if we would not give them the air and suck all the air out of the whole thing and just be like, they don't make shades for me anyway, here's a brand that does, and start like showing off the other brands that do cater, then they're just going to keep getting away with it.
Yeah. So you feel like if when this happens again, because we've said if before and it always happens again. So when this
Yeah.
happens again, in your opinion, it's just it happened, let it go. Don't give them the attention because it actually brings customers to the brand.
Yeah, I mean, because it's going to create FOMO, right? Because the creators with who do have a shade in there, they've already talked about it positively. They enjoy the product. The creators who were left out, and just Black people in general, of the customers who were left out, are going to be sitting waiting with bated breath for them to come correct with new shades. Then they're going to come out with the shades, and it's going to create this sense that you want to go try this brand that everybody's talked about and you could not get at the time because they didn't make it for you. If we keep playing this game, then they're going to keep doing this and profiting off of us. And it's time to like snatch that money back from them and give the money to the brands who do care. Why am I going to keep giving shine to a brand, any of these brands that keep playing this game?
Right. And another thing we've talked about privately is just what like you personally, what you like to see when you see a foundation launch, that it
Yeah.
doesn't have to have 100 shades or
Yeah.
even 40 shades in order for it to be inclusive. So to you, when you see that and you see a shade range, you're like, yes, that's inclusive. What does that look like to you?
So I look at it this way: if for me, an overall inclusive brand is equal shades, right? So if you have 20 shades, then it should just hit each group equally. It doesn't mean that it's like a perfect, range, but it is inclusive in that it's including, light, medium, deep, and dark, right? So if you have all of that, you're still being inclusive. It may take time to get all the different undertones, and that's going to be across the board. But what I don't like, and what we see a lot of, are brands that pretend that they're inclusive. But really, if you move things around, and they do this by kind of dotting the shades in there in different spaces, so you actually can't see that out of the 20 shades, 15 of them are almost all white. And then, like, there's five, and the last five are only going to cover maybe medium and a little bit, probably me. Sometimes I hit that, and I'm lucky in that way. Like, as a Black person, I am privileged that I am lucky enough to find my shade in most brands. But that to me is not an inclusive, brand or shade range. I think when you're trying to be inclusive, you're trying to at least come out the gate with something for everyone. And then you can expand as you go along. And that's why this thing with Euphoria and any brand that's done it before is trash, because they just didn't even have the expansion there from jump.
Right. Right. No, they didn't. They absolutely didn't. And I do have a photo that I can insert of the original shade range and
Yeah.
show the incredible jumps between shades. I mean, it was incredible. It was like I don't know who the Olympic, long jumper is that we could reference, but that person, whoever they may be, would have to jump and be the only one to possibly make it to the other side between the shades. It was astronomical, the difference.
Yeah.
So one of the big issues with Youthforia right now is that last shade 600 that they made their last shade. I say it's the last shade because it is the last number,
Yeah.
which is 600, and the fact that it was as black as this microphone.
Yeah.
It was not a human depth of black because of the lack of undertones. That there are no undertones in it. It was just black. And I would love
Yeah.
to hear to get your opinion on that specifically, and what your thoughts are on that.
You know what it reminds me of? You know how someone will be in a relationship and they keep trying over and over and over again to get the other person to make that next step so that they can get married and actually move that direction. And instead of them just like leaving and finding someone else, they just keep pushing and pushing until that other person finally throws out the shut up ring. That's what we call it, the shut up ring. That is what that foundation is. It's the shut up foundation. It's literally that's what they did there. I don't think that it was done with any actual care. I felt like it was shut up, quit bothering us, because if they were even in any way caring, why would that be the literal only shade that has zero undertone? Nothing. It's just black paint.
Right.
Why would you give somebody that shade? Like, you wouldn't, unless you were trying to get somebody who wanted their goth makeup, you would not do that for the furthest end. You would not just be like, here's white paint.
Right.
Sorry,
Exactly.
you're pale.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I think that there's a side note of colorism in here that I think can be especially painful for some people, especially people that are that deepest shade that they've experienced in their life. And
Mhm.
then having something like this happens, it hits different, and I would love to hear kind of your perspective on the colorism aspect of something like this and how it can affect people emotionally and
Yeah.
socially, when these kinds of things happen publicly.
People use the word trauma. I think a lot of people like to downplay it and say that people are being dramatic. But when it happens to you, no matter what it is in life, these things are traumatic to you. If you are a Black or brown person, you are a person of color, you have spent a lot, especially at my age, I'm 44 now, you've spent a large portion of your life trying to find shades for you. For a long time, we couldn't even really wear liquid foundation because they didn't make it for us. They would make it in powder. And we've really just finally, I feel like it was closer to 2013 or so where we started crawling over that hump to where we could wear liquid foundation. When you watch a brand do something like this, it's so much worse and traumatizing for you to once again feel like you're not good enough. Colorism is very consistently telling us as Black people that we need to be lighter, that lighter skinned Black people are the better form of our Blackness, that Eurocentric features are most important. And when we finally start getting over that hill and we start seeing progress, that our skin is beautiful, we are beautiful as we are, we can find makeup for us, and then we've been taking these steps back these past couple of years, it's just heartbreaking. It hurts. And you're sitting here going like, am I not a human being? It's no more, it's not just sitting here being like, I'm upset that they didn't make a shade for me. It's more that you're treating us inhumanely. Like, we are human beings, and you're out here acting as if this is cute for you to purposely, and I'm going to say purposely, allegedly, make a shade that is that black, that is just pitch black, to the point where you're just telling somebody like, you do not matter, you are not a human being, we do not care about you. They should have just made nothing and just left it at that. If they didn't want to make deep shades, you don't have to.
Right. And I think the most important thing in what you're saying is just that it's more than just, well, they don't make my shade,
Correct.
or it's not like, oh, I couldn't get what I want. Because I
Yeah.
think that's the misconception from people that I see that don't understand this topic, that have never experienced something like that, is it's like, so what? You can't get what you want in that one, whatever, and they don't see it as being so much more than just not being able to find something that you want. It goes so much
Yeah.
deeper because it's rooted in all of this cultural mess that's been passed on through the generations, not just in the United States, but all over the world.
Yeah.
And it just exacerbates all of those, like you said, those traumas that people
Yeah.
have experienced throughout their lives. And I think that's the part that really resonates with me with what you're saying.
Well, yeah, because you spend so much time trying to, and me personally, I spent so much time trying to learn and love and enjoy my skin tone. And I have multiples, you know what I mean? Like, I have many skin tones. And when you get to that point of love, there is something beautiful about being able to see other Black people around you embrace it and love it. We also want to play in makeup. We want to have expression. Like that's the whole thing that I have going on today. I like to be able to have this kind of expression and have fun with it. Rainbow palettes that I can use that aren't just for someone who has like light skin. So it's wonderful to be able to like be included in the world of makeup and be able to play. And for those who just want to be able to do a little dab here of concealer and that, like whatever you want to do with makeup from here to here, you should be able to do that. You should be able to enjoy that just like everyone should. It's not just, oh, they didn't make it for me. It wouldn't matter if that's how you just did it, right? Like Physicians Formula is never going to make stuff for us. And I'm fine with that because they refused. They've like let us know repeatedly by not making products for us that they're fine. The issue that comes with this is when you have a brand like Youthforia say that they missed the mark, they are sorry, and then they do this, then you didn't miss the mark. You hit the mark that you wanted to hit from the jump, which wasn't us. So just tell us from jump, it's not you. We do not care about you. And then we can just slide on because it's not like there aren't other brands that make shades for us. So we would just use them instead of you like causing this whole thing.
You got an idea. I can see it.
Yeah, just so people know, like I'm not a whiny baby. Like I got fancy shit in here. Like this is Dior. You know what I mean?
These are
We're
all
not
foundations
whining.
that work for you.
Yes, these are like
love.
Laura Mercier. I have that. I have the Prada foundation, babes. Like, is it messy? Yes,
Look at
but
you.
I'm wearing that today, actually.
Oh,
And then I have the Valentino. So I don't want to hear like, oh, you're whining, you're complaining, because like if these people are making it, yes, I wear all of them. I wear them all. Like I don't even want to hear it. Chanel, like, listen. And of course, I do have my House Labs. Just make sure you use like the teeniest, tiniest bit of that, or you'll be sad. But like, you can't even the MAC Studio Radiance. This is my winter though, because it makes me a little schwitzy
so
in the
those are
summer.
all foundations that work well for you.
Correct.
And in general have good shade ranges that work
Yeah.
for many people, and they've done well. So this
Yeah.
isn't just about, not one brand. It's about that it's possible. You just have
Yeah.
to make the effort in order to do it.
Yeah. If you don't want our money, just say so. Because this Prada foundation is like $70. It's
Right.
ridiculous. Like this is ridiculous. If you don't want my money, just tell me you don't want my money. I'm fine.
Right.
Because as you can clearly see, I'm happy to spend it.
Yes.
I love foundation.
Yes.
It's my favorite thing. I'm happy to spend the money on foundation. You don't want my money, just say so.
Right.
And there's plenty of other Black folks like me because maybe we love a full beat. Loads of us love a nice beat. And even if we're not all gonna do the shadow, we love to have a beautiful base, a beautiful base. I think that a lot of times when people see this, and what's very frustrating is they see it as us complaining. They see it as us making a big deal out of nothing. Go find your own. And the thing is, even if we had brands that were just for Black people, people would be upset about that. So we wouldn't win no matter what. There would be an outcry like, how dare you make a brand for yourself, even though we get told that every time.
Because then it's not inclusive the other way. And they call it hypocritical because it's not inclusive for light-skinned people.
Correct. And when we do make brands, we don't do that. We don't create a brand and then don't include a whole swath of the population. But other brands are perfectly comfortable doing that to us. And all we've ever asked for is equity. If you don't want to give it to us, then just don't include us, period. And I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? I'd rather you just not do that at all. Like, leave us alone.
Just don't pretend.
Yeah, it's the fake pretending that we missed the mark, the oh my goodness. And the fact that this shade was even created is showing that once again they'll be able to do what so many brands have done before them, which is play the game of, well, nobody bought it, and like, I guess our clientele just isn't Black, so sorry, and then they stop making it. And that's their favorite. Like, that's a very easy thing to say. I've seen people say it in comments all the time. Well, like, oh, well, they don't sell these shades because not enough Black people buy it. I'm like, babes, you have to look at it as a whole. Like, even if you look at Fenty, right? The way that it's going to work is, let's say that they have 30 deep shades. And as they go along, they start realizing that actually only 24 of them are regularly purchased and make money. So they're going to discontinue the rest, right? They're going to just go ahead and discontinue the other 6. It does suck for the people who love those, but they're going to discontinue that. And that's going to be with lipstick. That's going to be with blush. It's going to be with any of it. Every brand does that. But you can't not try and then, or half-ass try, and then tell us that we don't buy your stuff because it sucks. Like,
Right. Right. It has to actually be for the person, the intended audience. You can't blame the audience, the consumer for not buying something that wasn't right.
correct. Because you're not going to sell me moldy cheese and tell me it's delicious. Like, it's not going to
Exactly, because it
happen.
wasn't right. It wasn't right. So let's say I am an independent beauty brand and I'm owned by white people,
Mhm.
to be blunt, but I want to create a brand that everybody will feel comfortable and confident using. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking, Halsey, and I'm thinking, Lady Gaga, who created these inclusive brands.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I love House Labs.
Okay.
Listen.
Just checking, because I know that the Gloria, those are the ones that Gloria liked, that
Yeah.
specifically mentioned that those foundations worked really well for her. So let's say I'm a new brand. What did those brands do besides the basics of the shade range being a gradient? Some of the brands that you feel welcome, some of the brands that make you feel like, yes, this is a brand that creates products for me. What would you tell a new brand that these are the things that those brands are doing right?
I mean, one of the things is like, don't quit naming us after food is weird. Don't like it. Like, just use numbers. It's fine. You could just use like W for warm, like 227. That's fine. Let's get out of the food naming. I think also paying attention to undertones. Everybody's not red. Like, a lot of brands that come out with shades for deep skin folks often use red as the undertone. And we're like, hey, we're not all red. But we are seeing with House Labs, they even had stuff for olive undertones. And I was like, hi. So but I think that's one of the things that they've really done right. I don't really care about pricing, because honestly, foundation, in my opinion, I'm not using a lot of foundation. I use one squirt today. If you look at House Labs, because I haven't tried About Face yet, I want to. I look at them and I look at how they rearranged it. So it used to be light to dark. They did it the opposite way, which was really nice, so that we could very quickly and easily see if we were represented in their shade range. I don't think it was just Lady Gaga and her team just saying like, oh, we want to like be fancy. It was more, you're going to know from jump whether or not you fit in here. And we know that traditionally lighter skinned folks have always had the ease of seeing, and y'all have to scroll. And so that was a really nice marketing technique, and to this day still a very good technique, where I'm like, yeah, it showed you cared about us as a customer and you wanted us to be a part of your brand. So things like that, where you're putting the people that have been left out in the forefront, just makes me want to buy your stuff, like, period. So like,
Yes.
Youthforia can kick rocks. Like, just, I'm never going to buy it. I'm never going to buy anything from them. I refuse to buy from brands like that.
Yeah.
I just refuse. I give up at some point. I just give up. I'm like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't care.
It's enough chances. It's enough tries. It's enough of, we're forgotten. Oh, and now we're forgotten again. And
Yeah, and I
or
have
we're
ADHD.
misrepresented. We're misunderstood. This is not it.
Yeah, and with my ADHD, it's super easy to forget you exist. I forget I exist. I forget that I need to do things like Youthforia. I'm going to tell myself as soon as we're done talking, and we'll be like, don't buy from them, and it's going to be gone.
Yeah. And that's the end. You're over it. You're done.
Yeah, I'm
That's
never
it.
going to see it again.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for offering your opinions. I appreciate it. I always learn from you, and I love chatting with you about this stuff. So if anybody wants to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Audra Reins. You can find me on Instagram as also Audra Reins. But if you want to hang out, play some video games, and watch me get scared playing the devil, the devil in I, or in me, I think it is, you can find me on Twitch, and that's Audra Reins as well. I forgot I changed that. All of it's the same.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
In my opinion, when it comes down to this topic, I feel like Youthforia made one fatal mistake. And it was assuming they knew something that they 100% didn't know. Trying to, in a way, dunk on brands like Fenty by creating a deeper shade than even they could create, and instead showing her ignorance about human skin tones. And by the time she realized what she had done, it was too late. That mall video was supposedly just a few days before launch. By now, there would have been marketing materials already created. The products would have already been created. Everything was done. All she needed was the model. She was that confident that this shade was going to match someone and she was going to be able to find them. And her arrogance is what got her in trouble. And in that moment in the mall with Alvin and those swatches, she realized she was screwed and she had to figure out, how am I going to get out of this? I'm just going to fake it till I make it. That's what I truly believe happened. And she was counting on that people wouldn't notice. And for a couple of months, people didn't notice. But eventually, things like this are going to come out. But Fiona may know that all she needs to do is convince a large number of her existing customers that it is not a big deal, and that's all that needed to happen. In this situation, as a business owner, you have to weigh your options. Are you going to just throw all those foundations away? Are you going to dump the foundation out, try to clean them, try to replace them? What about the marketing materials? You're going to have to reshoot everything. Like, that is a devastating moment to realize that you fucked up like that. Or do you go in and you just try to fake it and hope that the vast majority of the people that already buy from your brand just won't care? And you'll just tell people, and you'll just look at people in the eye and be like, you don't see that. And I'm like, yes, I do. And it's like, no, not really. You don't really see that. See here. This is the magic of editing. This is what you really see. And it's like, but no, oh yes, but yes. And they're counting on enough people to believe their side of the story that it won't impact their brand more than it would have impacted their brand to shut down that shade and restart on it. In hindsight, which of course is 2020, it does appear that 590 is a really great shade and it will work for a lot of people. So again, in hindsight, what they should have done is take that 590 shade and change the undertone and have it be the same depth, and that probably would have worked well for Gloria. Instead of trying to best these other brands and instead of trying to do something that no one else has done, understand that maybe there's a reason why no one else has done it, and instead go to the people that have experience, decades of experience in catering to people of all skin tones, and use them as a baseline. They do it all the time in the cosmetic industry, where one brand does something and another brand takes that exact same concept and makes it their own. That's all she had to do, but she had to try to take it to the next level, thinking she knew better when she didn't. And back to that article. Do you remember the article that I mentioned that came out where it said that she had cut down the time to produce these products, the shade extension, from 24 months down to 4 months? It's a perfect textbook example of why you don't do that, especially with something this important that you are supposed to be working hard on to fix a mistake that you've already apologized for. You need to nail it when you come back with that shade extension. Don't rush it, nail it. I don't think that anybody would have cared if that shade extension came out in 6 months, 9 months, as long as it came out right. That was the second fatal mistake. And what kills me about this is she had an opportunity when she had those models that she hired and realized none of them matched 600. That should have been the clue that maybe there isn't anybody that matches 600. But she didn't do that. She was so confident that she could find somebody that she continued on that path. And all that ended up doing was showing her lack of understanding, her lack of awareness, and her lack of exposure to people of that skin tone. One piece I'm fighting myself in my mind on is, was there something more nefarious going on behind the scenes? Was it mean-spirited in any way to come out with this black shade of foundation? And that's not something that I know the answer to. I am not one to think the worst of people, but I understand why that perspective exists, and I feel like it is very valid. But at this point, my friend, it is your turn in the collective brain of Makeup Awesomeness, where we help each other not to buy crap and to discuss things like this happening in the industry. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What do you think about this situation? I do ask that you please be respectful in the comment section down below. I will be reading the comments down below regularly and looking out for anybody that needs their comment deleted or blocked if it's really bad. So please be cautious and choose your words carefully in the comment section to be respectful of others. And if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, if you found it interesting, if you like my style, feel free to hit the subscribe button so that you have my videos in your subscription feed whenever they are uploaded. Thumbs up button really helps me out a lot. It tells YouTube to share it with more people so they have the choice to click on the video if they would like to. And if you would like to hang out just a little bit longer, YouTube should be recommending a couple videos for you over here to watch, including one that I picked out for you down there that I think you're going to enjoy. I think I'm going to put the behind the controversy that I did about Tarte Shape Tape Foundation. That's going to go down there. YouTube's going to pick the top one based on your viewing history, but if you do have to go, it's no problem. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did. Mad love to you, and I will see you in a video very, very soon.